Welcome to our channel. Today we will show you a popular game of the 19th century. Bingo is a domino game based on the card game 66 and has nothing to do with the popular lottery game played with cards that hold a grid of numbers. In America in the 19th century, in regions where playing cards were prohibited on religious grounds, several popular trick-taking card games were adapted to use dominoes instead. The game is for two players using a double six domino set. This is a trick-taking game, a trick consisting of one tile played by each player. The winner of each trick stores the two tiles face down and plays the first tile to the next trick. The tiles have values, and the objective is to collect tiles in tricks worth at least 70 points and claim a win. This ends the play, and if the claim is correct, the player scores 1 or more game points. The first player to score 7 or more game points over as many deals as it takes wins the game. In this game, the blanks represent the number 7 throughout. The double blank, 0-0, known as the bingo, is the highest tile in the set and beats all other tiles, even the trumps. There are 7 suits: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and blank, 0, representing 7. In each hand, one of these is the trump suit, whose tiles have the power to beat all tiles of other suits, except for the bingo. In each suit, the highest tile is the double of that suit, followed by the others in descending order. Tiles that show a trump number belong only to trumps. Tiles that are not trumps and not doubles belong to two suits. For example, if 4s are trumps, the trump suit ranks from high to low. The double is highest and the blank is next because the 0 counts as 7. If 4s are trumps, the 5 suit ranks from high to low. 5-5, 5-0, 5-6, 5-3, 5-2, 5-1, omitting the 5-4 because it is exclusively a trump. The game is played for tricks, like a card game, and the objective is to win tricks containing valuable tiles. The point values of the tiles are as follows. The double of the trump suit is worth 28 points. Other doubles are worth the sum of their ends. So for example, the 0-0 is worth 14 points, since the blanks count as 7, unless blanks are trumps, in which case it counts 28. All other tiles of the trump suit are worth the sum of their ends. The two non-double tiles whose ends add up to 10, that is the 6-4 and the 0-3, are always worth 10 points even when they are not trumps. All other tiles, that is tiles that are not trumps, not doubles, and whose ends to not make a total of 10, have a value of 0. The total value of the tiles in the set varies from a minimum of 131 to a maximum of 147 according to the trump suit as follows. The start player for the first deal is chosen by drawing tiles or any other convenient method. For subsequent deals, the winner of each deal is the start player in the next deal. The whole set of 28 tiles is shuffled face down. Each player draws a hand of 7 tiles. The players arrange these tiles in front of them so that they can see the faces of their own tiles, but the opponent cannot see them. Then the second player turns one tile in the boneyard face up. The high end of this tile determines the trump number for this hand. This tile stays face up on the table, and it is drawn as the last boneyard tile unless a player closes the game. The play consists of 2 phases. Phase 1, when the boneyard trump tile is face up, and Phase 2, when the boneyard is empty or the trump has been turned face down by a player closing the game. In each trick, the first player plays a tile and the opponent responds by playing a tile. In Phase 1, there are no restrictions. In each trick, each player can play any tile from their hand. The winner of the trick is determined as follows. If either player plays the 0-0, the 0-0 wins the trick no matter what the other tile is. If the 0-0 is not played, then, if both players play trumps, the trick is won by the higher trump. If only one of the players plays a trump, the trump wins. If neither player plays a trump, the higher end of the first tile played is the suit of the trick. If the second player also plays a tile of that suit, the higher tile wins the trick. If the second player plays a non-trump tile of a different suit, the first player wins the trick. Examples. Suppose fives are trumps and player A leads the 4-3. The suit of the trick is 4 because 4 is the higher end of the led tile. If player B plays the 5-1, player B wins the trick because the 5-1 is a trump. If player B plays the 6-4, player B wins the trick because the 4 matches the suit of the trick and 6 is higher than 3. If player B plays the 4-0, player B wins the trick because the 4 matches the suit of the trick and the 0 counts as 7, which is higher than 3. If player B plays the 4-1, player A wins the trick because 1 is lower than 3. If player B plays the 6-3, player A wins the trick because the 6-3 is not a trump and does not belong to the suit 4 that was led. The winner of the trick collects the 2 played tiles, stores them face down in the collection of tiles that he or she has won, draws 1 face down tile from the boneyard, and adds it to his or her hand. The loser of the trick then similarly draws a tile so that both players have 7 tiles again. The winner of the trick plays the first tile to the next trick. After the winner of the 7th trick has drawn a tile, the only tile remaining in the boneyard will be the face-up tile that was used to determine the trump suit. The loser of the trick draws this tile, and the winner of the leads to the first trick of phase 2. The second phase of play begins when the boneyard is empty, or if a player closes the game. In the second phase, the first player to each trick is still free to lead any tile, but the second player must follow suit and, subject to this restriction, must win the trick if possible. Specifically, this means that if a trump is led, the second player must play a higher trump if possible. Second player wins. If no higher trump is held, the second player must play a lower trump if possible. Second player follows suit, but first player wins. If the second player has no trumps but holds the 0-0, this tile must be played. Second player wins. Having no trumps and no 0-0, the second player may play any tile. First player wins. If a non-trump is led, the suit of the higher end is the suit of the trick. The second player must play a higher tile of the same suit if possible. Second player wins. If no higher tile of the suit led is held, the second player must play a lower tile of that suit if possible. Second player follows suit, but first player wins. Having no tile of the suit that was led, the second player must play either a trump or the 0-0 if possible. Second player wins. Having no tiles of the suit led, no trumps, and no 0-0, the second player may play any tile. First player wins. Examples for phase 2, 4s are trumps. If player A leads the 4-3, B must play the 5-4, the only higher trump B holds. If player A leads the 6-4, B must follow suit with the 5-4 or the 4-1. If player A leads the 6-3, B must beat it with the 6-6. If player A leads the 6-0, B must beat it with the 0-0. The suit of the trick is 0, not 6. If player A leads the 3-2, player B, having no 3s, must play the 5-4, the 4-1, or the 0-0 to win the trick. The winner of the trick adds the 2 tiles to their trick store. No tiles are drawn in phase 2. The winner of the trick simply leads to the next trick. If the first player to a trick holds 2 or more doubles, the player may declare them and lead one of the doubles to the trick, showing the other. The declaration scores extra points as follows. If the 0-0, bingo, is one of the doubles in the declaration, 10 extra points are counted. The points for declaring doubles are only valid after the declarer has won at least one trick. This will normally already be the case when the doubles are declared, since the declarer earns the right to lead to a trick by having won the previous trick. The exception is when the first player declares when leading a double to the very first trick. In this case, the points for the declaration will not count unless and until this player wins a trick. Tiles that have been declared and shown cannot be used again for a subsequent declaration. Closing a game. If the winner of a trick in Phase 1 believes, after drawing, that he or she can take at least 70 points without drawing further tiles from the stock, the player can close the game by turning the trump tile in the boneyard face down before leading to the next trick. At this point, the play enters Phase 2. The second player to each trick must follow suit and beat the first player's tile if possible. No further tiles are drawn from the boneyard. If after the players have played all the tiles in their hands, the player who closed the game has not reached 70 points, the other player automatically wins. Note that if the game is closed, there is no 10-point bonus for the last trick, since it is not the 14th trick. For a successful claim when the game was not closed, the winning player scores game points as follows. For an incorrect claim, the opponent scores 2 game points. If the game was closed and the closing player correctly claims to have scored at least 70 points, the number of game points scored depends on the opponent's score at the time when the game was closed. If the player who closed fails to reach 70 points or claims incorrectly, the closing player's opponent scores. If blanks are not trumps, and the double of trumps and the 0-0 are played to the same trick, the player of the 0-0 immediately scores 1 extra game point for beating the double of trumps. The first player to score a total of 7 game points wins the whole game. Well guys, if you liked it, subscribe to the channel and leave comments. Bye everyone.